Welcome to the Youth Pastors Are Pastors Too podcast, recorded in Central Texas, broadcasting to the world. Join your hosts and their weekly guests for insight, advice, guidance, and ideas to help your ministry flourish and help you take care of yourself. Now, with a combined 35 years of ministry experience, your hosts, Jacob Taylor and Jeremy Helms.
What's up? We are back for a short episode. We didn't want to leave everybody hanging again. We didn't want people to think we forgot about them. Life's been busy the last 2 weeks, really. And
yeah, that surgery it really knocked you out, I think, and you had other stuff happening even as the recovery process began, right?
Yeah, the surgery thing. I guess we can jump right into it, but the surgery thing really hit me harder than I thought it would. When I was younger, I had knee surgeries twice, and I was up and going and doing within like 2 days. But this one, man, this thing really just knocked me down, and
You're not as young as you once were, is what I just heard you say.
I'm gonna stick with the extensive surgery instead of just like when they work on your shoulder, things are different.
I understand that shoulder surgery is super intensive recovery. A friend of mine is marrying this guy. He used to play wide receiver for Texas A&M football. He had shoulder surgery in the summertime, and then he went and tried out for the XFL, San Antonio team in the XFL, and ultimately he didn't make it. But I saw him about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, listen, does your shoulder still hurt? He's like, yeah, man, it still hurts. I'm like, goodness gracious, if you think about that, it's
well, that's encouraging. That that guy, I know who you're talking about. He's a little bit more built than I am, just a little, not too much.
Yeah, he may be taller too.
He's a little bit taller and good looking, and all the above. But yeah, this is, to be fair, we went into surgery thinking something else.
Oh,
and came out like more like extensive. Like did I tell you that I had stitches that went into my armpit?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, there's about 2-3 inch incision they went through my armpit to reattach my bicep tendon.
Oh, wow. So there was more damage than they realized when they got in there.
Yeah, so they knew about the bicep tendon, and then they knew about the labrum tear. So when they got there, I guess when they got in, the tear in the bicep tendon was a little bit worse than they thought. And then the labrum repair, there was 2 different spots. So they actually went in to do 2 different spots to fix that. So typically a labrum repair would have 2 little holes that they just stick little things in. I actually have like 6. And then I have the incision that is in my armpit. So
man,
it definitely humbles. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had a real hard time, and I still do. But like the first couple of days, especially like if I had to like shower, or like I still can't even tie my shoe right now. So shout out to Hey Dudes for putting out shoes just in time. But I just had a tough time asking just to take a shower, getting help to take a shower. And I really struggled with that and my wife's been great about the whole thing and taking care of me, and she buttons my pants in the morning, and I wear a belt, like no matter what, I always wear a belt. And she has to fasten that, and when I do wear tennis shoes, like if I know it's going to be like a long day of walking, then I'm going to wear tennis shoes. Like today, it's been kind of a leisure day, and I just like, I'm going to wear Hey Dudes. I got PT in like 45 minutes, so that's the thing. But and I'll say
it's kind of funny.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, my wife brought home these really clean shoes and they're similar to the Hey Dudes. But my first reaction was, "Am I getting that old that I can't tie my own shoes?" And so at midweek this week, I one of the students noticed it, and that was the joke. I didn't even tell them that part. They were like, "That's because you can't tie your own shoes anymore." And I'm like, why am I here? What is happening?"
That's
And
funny.
so we did an impromptu thumbs up, thumbs down vote whether they liked my new. Dude, they're clean white, and they like no strings. You slip them on or whatever. They're super comfortable. So, shout out to my wife for picking out some awesome shoes that I don't have to tie.
That is a sign of you getting old. Mine just because I only have one hand. So
Well,
like I can't even
holy moly!
I can take the sling off and sit there, but I can't lift up my arm. I can't let if I let my arm hang down, it's very uncomfortable. It's just it's you don't think about things like when you have when you don't think about like how many times you use your hand. I'm lucky and unfortunate that I am left-handed, so I'm still capable. Like my dominant hands, but like working on a
You,
computer.
yeah, you can still write checks.
Yeah, and I can sign things but typing emails. If I we have a Friday email every week, and um, or even like we're doing this volunteer appreciation dinner, and they needed a list of my volunteers, and everybody wanted emails, and I was like, and I just wrote on a yellow notepad and wrote everything down and handed it to this office manager, and I was like, I'm sorry, it would take me half a day to type up this.
Did she run photocopies of it and mail it out?
And that's exactly what she did.
You know what I have been using honestly recently is I will take my phone and I will use the talk to text to write my emails. And
Oh, that's
I think I am saving a bunch of time because it is so accurate now. Like there's barely even any typos. There's barely, I think a few years ago, like you could do the talk to text and it would just be all jumbled and messed up.
yeah.
But now there's barely any editing. So I will write some of my emails, just talk to text. So
My phone is messing up. Like the I button doesn't work, or I don't know what the area of where the I is on your keyboard on your iPhone doesn't
yeah.
work. So a lot of the times I this is like within the last 3 days, text to talk to text, and I'm like, why haven't I been doing this forever? But I don't like
I,
talk because you're like, what if you're talking about somebody in the room? You're like, so
well, it's funny because I was doing a talk to text the other day, and Landon was in the car with me. So I was like, send the text message or whatever, blah blah. I say it. Well, I didn't turn the microwave. I didn't turn the microphone off right away, and so Landon said something, and it ended up in the text message too. I caught it before I sent it though, but yeah, you're exactly right.
that's
You,
funny.
you gotta watch that microphone. But man, it can be what a useful tool, right? What
Yeah.
a useful tool. So how like recovery wise are you like managing like you guys swapped a soundboard out, you guys like redid all your almost your AVL desk back there. I know you did all that, but I mean like are you kind of delegating some stuff? Are you what's going on with that?
So basically, what's happening? So this past week, we took out the massive soundboard and replaced it with a Heath and Allen, an Allen and Heath SQ6, which is 4, maybe 3 feet wide, compared to what we had was like 8 feet long. Like it was massive, but uh, we had already scheduled to replace it right after Easter. Uh, before the surgery was scheduled. And so it was like, we don't want to wait any longer. I kept it up. So I was out of work for a week, and like I had people fill in on Wednesday night and Sunday.
Yeah.
Which
Oh, pause. I heard that you had some nice decorations in your office.
yeah, I came back. My office is TP'd and there's balloons everywhere. And they put a handicap shower chair in replacement of my desk chair.
Yes, that is awesome, man.
And they got pictures of my face, cutted them out, and I have a bunch of sports like stuff in my office.
Yeah.
And they taped my face to everybody's like. Yeah, so like I built a picture of Bill Goldberg signed hanging on my wall, and they put my face over his face. So
That's
But
funny.
yeah. So
All
be
right,
careful.
I chased a rabbit.
Be careful who you ask to take over your Wednesday night if you're out. But yeah. So I had lined up a group of guys to come help anyways because the massive soundboard. And then basically what it started, we had to rebuild the table that it was all sitting on. And so Kevin, the pastor here at Manchac, I basically coached him through building a new table. And
Wow.
and it's very extremely frustrating because that's what I do. Woodworking is, I mean, there's like 3 things I do, and it's woodworking, fishing, and probably have to go to golfing more than I did play softball. But softball was my thing until now.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I did. So building a table, I just basically had to tell them, hey, this is what we do. I held things with my one hand, and we got it built, and it wasn't perfectly square, but I knew that once we put weight on it, it would actually get square. So it actually worked out that way because we ended up moving all our live stream stuff because live stream was on a separate desk behind, and and all the wires were exposed, and it just when it comes to stuff like that, I don't want a distraction. Like people are going to see it, walk in, and be like,
Yeah.
all those wires were just hanging there. So we ended up moving everything out onto that one big table, and wire management was key onto this. And I had a couple guys come in on Monday. I mean, it took us almost 12 hours to take out the old sound system, put it in the new one, and then move all our things. And I mean, if it wasn't for like Garrett, shout out to Garrett Gardner Music, he really helped us get through like a lot of the stuff we didn't know what it was because it's so old, but he helped us get there. He told us what it did, if we needed it or not. So I have a whole room upstairs now full of sound equipment that will go up for sale here shortly. So if you're looking, just reach out.
Youth pastors are pastors2@gmail.com.
Is it youth pastors or pastor2 podcast.gmail?
No.
At Gmail? Oh, well.
Youth pastors2 TOO at the end at gmail.com.
See, that's why you do the administrative side of the things, and I do all the editing. So teamwork. So
Yeah,
and they did it. We had a volunteer that he just joined in doing the sound on Sunday mornings anyways, and he took off for the day to help put it in because he wanted to, and he's going to be running the sound mostly, and so he wanted to be here to kind of learn how everything went in and all that stuff. So, it really came down to just asking the right people, and they really helped me out. They helped out all day Monday, and then Tuesday and even into Wednesday, I was cleaning up wires, and I did a little cable management on stage, and just cleaned it up, and it took a day and a half just because I was doing it one-handed, but it turned out really great, and I couldn't tell you how appreciative I am of everybody that really stepped in to make that happen, even though I was really kind of just watching the whole time, and I felt useless, but
there's something about delegation, and I think sometimes we forget, and I think sometimes we kind of get in this groove where we want to do it our way because we know the way we want it done, and it's hard sometimes to pass that away, but the things that we can accomplish when we pass some of that load around, I mean, it's still running right now. You got a brand new soundboard, and your youth are still there, and I mean, it's just so many things that we can do whenever we delegate some stuff. And I just think about the blessing it is for the other people too, right?
Oh yeah.
And I got to help install that new soundboard. They'll never forget that, So
yeah, and they were so Kevin's so stoked about the soundboard. I mean, and we haven't replaced the whole thing yet, and that's in the plant. But just to see him excited about it, and then he's like yesterday, I was in there, messing around with the soundboard, getting it ready for Sunday, getting ready, Pro Presenter already, and I would shut down, and then everything's on a sequencer, so it takes a little bit for everything to turn back on or shut down, and so I shut it down, and I'm leaving the worship center, and he's bringing somebody else in just to show him like the new setup, and he's like, can you just go ahead and turn it back on so we can hear it? And like
He's stoked.
he's stoked about it. I'm stoked about it because it just changing the soundboard and taking some of the equipment out that we feel like was hindering the quality that was being put out.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it's a lot of people. I've realized over the years of, and I'm not a sound guy. I didn't grow into the ministry doing tech stuff, but people are afraid of the digital console because it looks complicated. But it, especially the board that we got, the SQ6, it's so easy that now that like volunteers can just jump in there, and it's just, man, it. Garrett Gardner Music, Gardner. I want to make sure I get that right. Really helped us out with that one. Brown Note Production really came out, and I'm still working with them. If you don't know Brown Note, they are actually the guys that do all AV production at Red Rocks Amphitheater. And they came in on last week, and we talked. They actually laughed at our sound system.
Well, the board you were running was like a monitor board, but you were using it as a front of house board, and it was a 40 channel monstrosity. I mean, it was
overkill,
and just yeah. I mean, how many guys did it take to move that thing?
4.
Yeah, at least. Golly,
I would say probably. I guess you could say 4.5 or 5 because I helped. Basically, yeah. I mean, there was places where, like, luckily we have a service elevator because all the stuff went up the other upstairs because that's basically where our storage is. But we got it. It took like 4 or 5 guys to put it on this cart, and then we pushed that cart into the elevator, and then it took 4 or 5 guys to.
Did you like stand it on its side or something?
It's actually sitting flat on the floor because I'm gonna take pictures of it. I'm gonna try to sell it.
Yeah, good call. Good call.
And I didn't want to be like, I need help flipping this thing over. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, very good. Let's see. Anything else? Your student. You. I mean. Oh. I know. What? When you were out and about, out and down, or whatever, was there something that made? What brightened your day about being out and out and recovery?
Well, there's 2 things that I really that stood out to me. The church made a meal train, and everybody other than one night, and it was nice just to have just my wife and I just to do our own thing, but every night for a week, someone mostly DoorDashed a meal to us, and then there's 2 separate days. Some volunteers on the tech team brought us Whataburger on Sunday after church, and then a lady, Amber Land, brought us. She's from Louisiana. Brought us gumbo on a Tuesday night, and she drove all the way, and we still live 45 minutes away, and so and she drove all the way there and dropped off gumbo, and it was probably probably the best gumbo I've ever had. So,
yeah,
and that, I mean, it really stuck out to me because it just showed that the church cared. Amberland's daughter made me a card with Orbit, like drew Orbit, like the mascot of the Astros.
Yeah.
She's like, get better, Pastor Jacob, which is always weird that people call me that. And I still have that, and then I'm probably gonna hold on to that card just because. And another thing is like, one of the students texted me last Wednesday on my first day back, and she asked if I was here, and this is a student that is super sarcastic, so you never know if they're like being for real or whatever. If you weren't tough skinned, you would think they hated you, always giving you a hard time. But she asked if I was coming back that night, and I said yes, and she said yay. Like, so it's like, oh, like she actually cared. Like, I know she does, but she's not going to show it.
Yeah.
And she said that, and then she followed up with, well, we kind of liked it when you weren't here. So, but
she had to get her little dig
she had
in,
to
right?
get her the slap to the face real fast. So,
goodness
those two
gracious.
things, like I felt the love of the church, and then
Mhm.
the fact that I guess I know all of them probably at some point were like, oh, Jacob's not here, but just to like they reached out to me instead of like, you reach out to students and it's like, oh, and they actually texted me instead. And so that was cool.
I don't know. I think that's awesome. I think that literally like is kind of, we looked at, some scripture yesterday in youth, and we were just talking about like the image of God and how we reflect the image of God, and Jesus is the perfect reflection of God, right? And so when we have Jesus Christ in our life, we get to reflect some of those images and characteristics of God, and you got to witness this firsthand, and sometimes slowing down, sometimes realizing that the church loves you in that way. Their students love you. I mean, we have value, and God loves us, and so it's a great reminder.
Yeah.
And we always need that reminder. You need that reminder. I need that reminder. If you're listening today, you need that reminder that God loves you, and we hope that you're in a church that loves you and that reflects the image of Christ, just the way that God's called us to. So,
absolutely. So, yeah,
well, Jacob, I know you got to run, but listeners, we are looking forward to jumping back in a better routine. Keep praying for Jacob's healing, and we are so glad you tuned in.
Yeah, I know life's been busy this week, and I just happened to have physical therapy in about 15 minutes. So, luckily it's just down the road, so it's not too far. But yeah, we want to keep episode. Next week we'll have a full episode, not just a brief But I think you're right about and I know sometimes you work in a church, people think, oh, they just pour love on you, and sometimes in some situations you don't feel that, and this was a different experience from past experiences, and it was good to see, and I definitely need it, and people see what you're doing if you're working in a church, and they may not show it or say anything, but they definitely appreciate what you do, and just keep doing what you're doing. So, hey, I'll see you next week. Wait,
you want to do it again? You want to do it again next week?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to the Youth Pastors Are Pastors Too podcast. Find us, rate us, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and SoundCloud. If you want to see our ugly faces, look for us on YouTube. While you're at it, give us a like on Facebook. See you next week.